What's going on, guys? Cody from Motorcycle MD. Welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome. This channel is very motorcycle heavy. We talk about tips and tricks repairing and maintaining your motorcycle. And I have a very helpful video for you guys today. We're going to quickly go over a safety inspection on a motorcycle. I am a state inspector when it comes to motorcycles, so it's something that I have to do pretty much every time I work. And I do know that many states don't have it. Good for you. I'm pretty jealous. But it's actually a good thing to look at. There are certain aspects of the motorcycle that can be looked at from the outside, and you know that this thing is good to go. Before we dive in and harass my CB750 Nighthawk to make sure that it passed the test when it comes to safety, huge announcement, guys. For about over a year, myself and Matt from How To Motorcycle Repair, may or may not know him, we've done a couple of collaborations together, have been working on a monster course when it comes to motorcycle repair and maintenance. We wanted to figure out, based on what I see in the field working for Honda, what he sees for the past 20 plus years working on motorcycles himself, as well as running channels, how-to videos, and helpful content soaked in motorcycle repair and maintenance. We get tons of questions. We wanted to try to build a course to help solve as many as we could. So today is the day. The course is live. I'm super proud of it. I know Matt should be as well. There's no way we could have compiled this much information into a course with just one of us. It would have taken him much longer. So I introduce to you the Motorcycle Repair Masterclass. It is a video tutorial course with over 140 lessons inside, taught by both me and Matt, designed specifically to help the DIY wrencher. Whether you know how to maintenance your bike, want to learn how to maintenance your bike, or have been doing it for years, there's all types of content packed into this course. I'm pretty sure I was up to around 1 o'clock just packing more bonus content into there until I felt satisfied enough to go to sleep. Also, one pretty amazing benefit about this whole course that might have gotten lost in translation as we talked about it, there is an app for it, which I think is amazing. To have your phone, being able to watch videos on your phone, like I'm sure most of us do in the garage when we're working on it, this entire course is on an app. And when you do grab the course, an email will be sent to you with some more information on where to download that app and have access to it. So to celebrate this course, I'll be bringing you guys this quick video on motorcycle maintenance, safety inspecting your bike, how to make sure that you know that it's safe, basic, fundamental things that you should know about your motorcycle. But as this video proceeds, be sure to check out the cards. The cards will take you straight to where that course is if you want to learn more about it. And I know me and Matt are both super excited for you guys to discover just how easy it is to really maintenance your bike and do it well. So without further ado, Nighthawk is on the bench. Let's check it out. So, my Nighthawk just rolls into the bay. This is what I'm looking for when it comes to all the safety factors of this bike. First off, did it run when it come in? Did it have an exhaust leak? Does it smell like fuel? 3 things that you can pick up almost instantly with a flashlight and look around and see if there's any yellow dripping wetness going on with the bike. Is there a horrible oil leak taking place where now the rear tire is wet? Those very easy to pick up on safety things that could either make the bike catch on fire or the rear tire spin out, or if it runs like crap, then how the heck is it going to get out of the way of something that could potentially kill you? 3 things pick up right off the bat. Next thing, which we can't really see on this bike, would be fork seals. Some bikes are a little bit covered up. GL 1800, you can barely see the forks unless you really get down up underneath there. But a quick inspection of the fork oil, grabbing it down by the seal, put your hand in there. Is it dry? Yes. Awesome. Great. If it's wet, now are we going to look at to see how bad has it gotten? Has it drained down this fork right here? Has it gotten onto the rotor? Is the brake caliper fully covered in fork oil? All of those things would become a safety issue. A leaking fork seal does not fail, but once it hits the brakes, it fails, okay? Because now your brake pads act like sponges. They soak up that oil. Your rotor's completely covered in oil. Yes, it will still brake, but not well. And when that fork oil touches that caliper and starts hitting up all these rubber components, that's when it really turns south. Everything starts to swell up 3 times its size, and you got to put some money into it. So if you're starting to see some seeping up here on your fork leg, time to do the seals on it. After that, quick inspection of the tires. All tires typically have wear bars. This tire has some electrical tape on it, but if you look inside the tread of your tires, you will see notches, okay? Those notches we're always looking for the lowest part of the tire. So cool, you may have very thick tread on the outside, but if that center is flat, it does not pass. But what we're looking for is that notch on that tread pattern. Once the highest point on these two sides, we'll say, is flush with that pad in the center, it would then fail state inspection or is beyond the limit of a serviceable tire. Okay, obviously tires are super important when it comes to your bike. Some people may find it hilarious to run a bike tire down to when the cords are showing. Not that cool, and that would obviously fail state inspection. Let's go ahead and check this front tire out. When it comes to age of the tire, there's always a good 5-year rule plan to have. As you can see, this tire that I'm running is starting to show some dry rot, okay? Once that starts to happen, the molecular compound of that tire that allows the tire to stick and grip starts to break down once you see that dry rot, okay? Think of it as an eraser on a pencil. Would I fail it for that? It all depends. How low is the tread? As you can see here, this left side is getting pretty, that's almost flat right there. And it's just that one side. This side's just a little bit taller. This side is pretty close. I would probably fail this tire. So way to go, Cody. Next thing I want to look at are these brake pads. Okay, that pad material right there that is touching the caliper is what matters, okay? If that is the thickness of a nickel, it's time to replace them. This thing is about that, and we have, I would say, 60% life left, but we also want to make sure that both brake pads are wearing exactly the same. Sometimes the inner pad will wear out way faster than the outside, which means something with this caliper is not floating like it should. Especially when it comes to front ends that have dual brake calipers, the spacing has to be right. There's a couple of factors that can really throw off how those brake pads wear. I'm also looking for that. Rear brakes are the same way. Okay, they have a wear indicator on them. If you look right there, every time that you function that rear brake pedal, there's a little marker that, once they wear out, lines up with the hub. This one is nowhere near it. Alright, so we got tires. Needs a front one. Would likely fail because of that. The forks will say are not leaking. The brakes look great. How's the chain look? It is as easy as reaching down, grabbing that chain. As long as you have a little bit more than about an inch and a half of free play, we're doing alright. Okay, if that chain is dry, I would likely have nothing on my finger when I'm done. This one's doing great. How do the sprockets look? Are they all shark-toothed? Or all kind of bending and curling in the same direction? That matters. This one looks great. Then we can pretty much knock out all of the lighting in a couple of quick maneuvers. So, key on. Do we have a headlight? Low beam? Yes. If not, is the bike supposed to have the low beam on when you go to start the bike? Some don't. Some Harleys don't. Some other brands don't. Honda typically does, unless you put some kind of aftermarket system in it. High beam, yes. High beam indicator on your meter. That matters. Yes, this one's working. Horn. Oh, that sounds beautiful. We call that a low battery. Turn signal, left. Sounds good. Front and rear. If that was blinking fast in the front, likely there's one of them that's out, or you've put some kind of LED system and you didn't really know too much about the resistance that needs to be had when it comes to these types of systems. Also, do we have a turn signal indicator? We do. Right? Working. Perfect. Do we have a running light back here? Okay. Yes, we do. Both of them have them. Do we have running lights up front? Yes, we do. Both of them have them. Brake light front. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's working. And rear. What I'm also looking for at this time is how quickly does that switch activate. If any of you guys have seen my brake switch video. What is that noise? Ew, that's the spring moving around. But yeah, so how fast is the switch coming on? Is it too sensitive? Because some guys, when it comes to an upright bike, want their feet to be a little bit over top of the brake. So when that happens, is the brake light coming on? If I put a little bit of pressure on the pedal, is it coming on? It's not. If I keep pushing, and finally it comes on, that's what we want. When you get into that brake space on the pedal is when we want that light to come on, not right away. So this bike fails. In most cases, there are a few other things I'm looking for. It needs to have at least one mirror, but that's just with the states that have state inspections, as well as certain rules and regulations when it comes to lighting. In Virginia, the rule is integrated systems with turn signal brake lights and running lights all built into one, like the sport bike guys like to do. That can be illegal. They have strict rules when it comes to how far separated the turn signals need to be. And even though some bikes are coming out with those integrated systems from the factory, and they're kind of addressing that rule, we still have to kind of go by it in the best way we can. And of course, everything has to be DOT approved to be on the bike, yada, yada, yada. But that wraps this one up, guys. I hope this was informative for you. Again, in celebration of the Motorcycle Repair Masterclass that is out right now, live, open cart, go hit it up. Again, cards up here will take you straight to that course if you want to know more about it. So that wraps this one up, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. A quick walk around on things you should be checking out on your bike pretty regularly. One thing I probably failed to mention is tire pressures. They can drop a couple pounds in a week, so you need to be checking those things out all the time if you want to save the money on not getting new tires every year, keeping the bike handling exactly how it was designed to. So as always, Cody from Motorcycle MD, bringing you guys some quality tips and tricks for your next build or your daily rider. See you next time. Later.